Sean Baker is a producer at CNET.com who participated in the 3-hour playthrough of the new Elden Ring DLC called 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. New details about the boss fights and their mechanics were revealed. So let me just dive into some of the things that he said and some of his experiences because it's pretty crazy. With the amount of hours I put into the game, I've noticed some pretty significant differences between the old bosses compared to the new ones. Sean went into great detail about 2 boss fights in particular, and I want to dive right in because when playing Elden Ring bosses before, we know there are always 2 phases. With enough practice and skill, you will start to memorize the boss fight mechanics, which ultimately wins you the fight. But for Shadows of the Erdtree, I see they're trying to mix things up a lot. Let's see what they're talking about. And here's what I've noticed about the differences between the old bosses compared to the new. The new bosses have greater emphasis on elemental mechanics and environmental hazards, more complex attack patterns and phases requiring constant adaptation, which is always great for boss fights. Cooperative elements with NPC summons playing a more pivotal role in battles. I'm talking about not just 1 but 2 along with your summons. So you could possibly have up to 3 summons. And so when I think about the old bosses, they often focused more on sheer size and strength with fewer elemental intricacies, more predictable attack patterns, allowing for more straightforward strategies. Summon mechanics existed but were often less integral to the fight's core strategy. So by comparing the new bosses with the older ones, we can appreciate how Shadow of the Erdtree raises the stakes, offering richer, more dynamic encounters that challenge players. And this is exactly what we need. Elden Ring just eventually became easy, and from what I see, we're in for a challenge, man. I can't wait. So let's break down what Sean went through with these new bosses. During the 3-hour session, I took on 2 different bosses in the DLC. The first, Divine Beast Dancing Lion, is a large foe that wields the power of the elements, requiring a fair bit of strategy. Don't let its large size fool you. Like many of Elden Ring's towering foes, their size doesn't slow them down, as players will immediately have to deal with its onslaught of repeated charges and body slams. The only boss I recall as being really fast and big and was grabbing me was at the second phase of Godfrey. I don't think this article is going to give me much justice for simply reading it. I need to play it for myself because I pride myself in excelling in difficult content. But let's move on. Because the Divine Beast Dancing Lion introduces a unique challenge with its elemental attacks, differentiating it from many previous bosses in Elden Ring. Unlike some of the larger bosses in the main game, the Dancing Lion combines brute force with elemental prowess, not just elemental or physical, it's both. Oh yeah, I can't wait. If it wasn't bad enough, the beast will often ignite its body in flames before leaping towards you, something that quickly rendered my flaming sword, a flame version of the 𝐸𝐵𝒍𝒑𝒔, pointless. The beast often hurls its body towards you in a lengthy combo, which isn't easy to dodge due to the creature's large size. See, this is what I'm talking about. When fighting the fire giant in the original game, he was really slow. We're talking about a large, agile beast that will ignite himself on fire and lunge towards you. I think that's mixing it up. And this means maintaining distance, which is key, especially when it follows up that combo with a large sweeping lightning attack that strikes down from above. I feel like I spent more time running away and rolling around than I did actually attacking. I can feel that. Some of these bosses are relentless. There are many fights in Elden Ring that feel like you can never attack. All this makes me think of our dexterity builds though. The way you can attack then almost instantly dodge or block right after. But we also have to consider the new weapon types that are coming. These, of course, will be tied into weapons we may just need to win these boss fights. But we're not going to get into that right now. I'll make a separate video just about the weapons and the 8 new archetypes that they're adding. But he goes even deeper. He says, luckily, one of the non-player characters located just outside of the dungeon can be summoned to assist you. And I was more than thankful for it. If you and your partner manage to close the gap and ready an attack, the beast can counter by launching itself into the air and blowing a freezing storm down below it in your direction. You'll be rewarded with this lion's head, which can be worn as a hat once you defeat it. But the sheer size and weight of the accessory may not be worth the defense increase. The ability to summon NPCs adds a cooperative element to the battle, reminiscent of the older Elden Ring boss fights, but with a fresh twist. I remember back when I fought Margit the Fell. I thought it was hopeless because I just started playing the game, but I thought it was hopeless before realizing that I had an ally I can summon before the fight. And even though it died very quickly almost every time I went in there, it still gave me the confidence I needed to beat Margit. So I think this is going to be great. I'm sure it'll be way more complex, especially with the complexity added to the new boss fights. This is another aspect needed to succeed, I believe. And I don't think they'll give us impossible tasks, just very difficult. The new mechanics just must be learned. Once they are, then we're golden. You know how it goes. Okay, now he gets into the second boss fight, and apparently this one is a lot tougher than the first because he didn't beat it. This boss goes by the Twin Moon Knight, and it was much more difficult, causing me to spend close to an hour fighting it before ultimately having to hang my controller up as our preview time had elapsed. Okay, like he said, he only had 3 hours, but wow, he didn't even win this one. This large knight attacks with such speed and ferocity that you'll immediately be thankful you were able to summon 2 NPCs to help with the fight. Even with that combined power and the spirit ash I conjured, we still couldn't defeat them. That's what I noticed, man. Sometimes when I activate my mimic tier, it seems like it makes the fight harder, doesn't it? I don't know, it's something weird about that, and then they just get slaughtered eventually. But this is insane. With 2 NPCs and possibly a mimic tier, which I will be using, the fight felt hopeless. I don't know, I might be regretting what I said a little earlier when saying this article doesn't do me justice, because he's painting a pretty good picture in my head right now. But check out this weapon he's using. He said he wields 2 large swords and dishes out some very long combos. And in typical Elden Ring fashion, when the boss's health reaches below half, its 2 weapons upgrade into a blade of fire, while the other turns into something akin to a lightsaber. Man, they better give me that weapon. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. Moving on. Both of them carve up wide swaths of the battlefield, with the Fury blade igniting a large portion of it, forcing you to steer clear of the enemy and wait for the flames to die down. The lightsaber can extend across the arena and will sweep the floor several times before giving you an opening to attack. So what we going to be playing, jump rope here? The weapon transformations that have health are a signature from FromSoftware. The infamous second phase. Just when you think you almost got them beat, the stakes are heightened mid-battle. So this is really going to test our ability to adapt even more than before. FromSoftware seems to have really set the bar high and reached it, which is often rare in DLCs. But I'm almost finished. This is the last thing that he said regarding this. If these dual combos were the extent of the danger, then I'm confident I could have left the preview with 2 bosses under my belt. But the Moon Knight has another trick that consistently bested me. It can transform into multiple icy orbs that will crash down on the battlefield. There are 3 crashes in total, each causing more damage and frostbite than the previous. The final blow easily took around 75% of my health bar, and would even end the fight for me. I'm looking forward to the full DLC experience so that I can get another shot and redeem myself. I don't know which boss fight this is, but I know it's not the final one in the DLC. I can't imagine how difficult that's going to be. But anyways, that is what he talked about regarding the bosses and the new details therein. If you want to read the full article, which he went over tons of other stuff like the map, some of the weapons, I'll leave a link in the description. But man, does it seem like we have a good DLC coming. People are saying that this feels like a brand new game, and I believe them. Elden Ring was revolutionary when it came out, and I can't wait to dive back in. I've been waiting patiently, and I got in a little late as a content creator on Elden Ring, and I'm glad that I have time to prepare and cover this game, because I'm passionate about games like this and I cannot wait to cover it. So let me know what you think about these new details, these bosses. What are you looking for the most in this new DLC? So like the video if this was insightful, and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.